Everybody, it's Harry Box of the Technical Trader at techtrader.com. It's Saturday morning, November the 23rd. This is the weekend webinar. Big week for the market, up every day on the S&P. Not quite to new all-time highs. The Dow did make a new high, but I don't follow that. The NDX, here's the S&P, by the way. You'll see that for 5 days we have gains. Nothing spectacular, but good days, and on-balance volume is moving up. This is a very bullish effect. If you look at what I'm seeing here, this is the rising bottoms line, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this could be a 1, 2 of 5. If this is 3 and we get 4 and 5 into December, we could see 6,200, give or take 40, 50 points. We'll see. What about the NASDAQ 100? Well, similar action. We did make a new all-time high in the NDX. That's interesting. 21,182 before the pullback. Now, this was up 4 of the last 5 days and back into the gap. Just about filled it. We need to get up through this level and then retake out the high. So the NASDAQ 100 high that was set 2 weeks ago was 21,182, as I said. The pullback low we just had was 20,315, about 800 points from top to bottom. And then we recovered about 6 of it. So a nice fib retracement, 0.618 fib. We're at resistance. We're at moving average and price resistance and gap resistance. So we need to get a thrust back above 20,365 or so, and then we can retest a high on the NASDAQ 100. But still, both of them are below their highs. I'll just show you the DJI for a second, which I never show you. Oops. The new high was made, well, anyway, it was a new closing high, that's right. Intraday high was 44,486. The closing high that day was 44,293. We closed at 44,296 by 3 points. So not nominal new high in the Dow. I can't get excited. Sorry, folks. That's why I never follow it. But looking at the S&P 500, we're above the trend line, price support, etc. What you want to watch next week in case we do turn down is 58, 53, 55 in this area. That is my initial key support. The NASDAQ 100 initial key support would be at the pullback low, moving average, and price support. So that gets about 20,300, give or take 30 points in that zone. That's support. And the target on a move out is about 21.5. The longer term target, should this be a market go into a run up, blow up stage, would be 23,000 plus. I'm not saying we're getting there. I'm just saying that if we should get a blow up. And if this, by the way, rally last week doesn't turn out to be sort of a bear flag, because when we gap down on the index and then we form this kind of a pattern, it's always suspect, because if it's a 1, 2, we could get 3, 4, 5 down there at some point. So I'm just giving you what ifs. S&P, same thing, 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5 towards 5,700, give or take. So I'm going to be monitoring this carefully, obviously. You can see that the top of the channel, long term, calls for a move up to 61.50.75. That's my target. I know I have other people looking at 62.50, 63, etc. More importantly, again, I'm going to be watching this zone, which held all week, 58, 53, 55. That's the number to keep an eye on, should the market turn down. The small cap index had a nice week. Certainly, a lot of small cap stocks really ran last week, as you know from our day trades. The dip to 226.40 resulted in a snapback to 239.47. That's 13 points, about 6% in a week for the IWM. Nice pop, indeed. You see where support is? It's right there. Anything under 225 would be problematic, and there is resistance up and around 244. So that's the number I'll be looking for next week to see if we can punch through it. Transportation also doing better. You notice that, I want to point this out to you. Going back to 2 years now, we've had stair-step moves up, a long consolidation base pattern, and a breakout. Not only a breakout, but a breakaway gap, and then a retest. Internal trend line held, and we bounced. Right now, the target's 18,000 and then 18,400 roughly. This is a confirming indicator, and I like it. Transportation and IWM doing a good job of tracking along and confirming, at least for now. We'll see if we can get up to the highs. Very important. Watch the transportation index at 17,676. That's the not the all-time high because we spiked up back in 21 here, but it's the multi-year high. Now the trend line's pointing towards, if we do get a blow up in the market, 19,000, give or take 100 points. So we'll see where we're going. Taking a look at the underlying technical indicators. The McClellan oscillator did pop a little bit last week when the market rallied after getting down to minus 111, oversold in a range where on the last 6 weeks we had a bounce each time we got down there, and then a spike with two gaps. Check this out: gap here, gap there. If it's not untypical for the McClellan oscillator to gap, you see a lot of them here, but a move directly from 111 negative to positive 86, and at a level which we've seen some markets top in this area, but I got a feeling this time we're going to see it run to plus 150, 180 up here, maybe 200. We'll see. What is the percentage of stocks that are involved in this rally? 58%. In other words, only 58 out of 100 stocks are participating in this rally. I will say this, and you can't necessarily chart this way, but I want to point out that there was a trend that was broken on Friday, and this is kind of an inverse head and shoulders, which could lead to a spike into 70, 75, 80 range, which I do anticipate may occur if the market does a vertical move here in the next few days ahead of Thanksgiving. We'll see. We will just have to gauge it day by day. The VIX. Obviously, with the pullback we had in the VIX, and you'll see it here, Thursday, Friday, there's not a lot of fear. Matter of fact, we went from almost 19 down to almost 15 just Thursday and Friday alone. Doesn't really tell me a lot other than the fact that there's not a lot of fear, not in this market. Looking at the components of the NASDAQ 100 and the market leaders. Well, here's Apple. And the one thing about Apple and the index that I showed you, it's kind of interesting how they both did this track the same way. We did a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way move down to support and bounced. However, what has me concerned is this looks like a rising wedge, not a lot of technicals, kind of neutral. And if this is going to be some sort of head and shoulder type top pattern, this is the key right here. You cannot let Apple get under 219 and 3/4, 220. That would cause, I think, a market sharper drop. There's a double triple top here at 238, 237.5. And should Apple get through that, we might see a market explosive move and blow off. And this is kind of what, in the back of my mind, I keep thinking, this market needs to, after all this long bull market, we need to get a blow off to have everybody sucked in, and the shorts covered, and that's when they'll take it down, maybe. But if that occurs, if Apple gets through the double top, we might see 55 roughly, another 25 points up, or about 8 or 9% move in Apple. Amazon is not acting well of late. Take a look at this. During this market bounce, Apple's only been up one day in the last 7. Interesting, huh? And it's right on support. Trend line, near the 50, and lateral price support. If you see next week down below 195, I think Amazon's in trouble, and the market may not like it. This is a at the trend line. And this could be a 1, 2, 3, 4. And so we do get a hold here and a run up, and then it takes out 2067. We may be headed to 225.6 in a blow off move for the market. Again, I'm not saying there's going to be one. I'm just thinking the market is set up for that potentially. Google. Well, it was acting great. This inverse head and shoulder to break out, and the wedge looked to me really good, but that trend line was broken. Price support broken. 50-day moving average broken. Would you be concerned if you're a technical analyst? You should be. This here, does not augur well for Google going forward, and we may get a test of 160 short term. We'll see. If we've got to get this quickly back above 170 with energy. Right now, that is a negative for the NASDAQ 100. Microsoft worries me a bit too, because when you look at the overall pattern, this is like a 1 year massive top. Or, look, you know what? Again, I'm going to always say this to you over and over and over. Head and shoulder tops, if that's what this is, are not head and shoulders till the neckline breaks. First order of business for this is to break down underneath the 400, 405 zone. Once you break that, then that's a problem, and that could send Microsoft sharply lower. I don't know why that would occur, but it doesn't matter to me technically. Here's the bottom line. You had a 2-year trend line, and we're right at it. There's a double bottom here, and there's a bottom there, a couple of them. So this is the zone of support. We cannot let Apple get below 400, 404. On the upside, resistance is 429.5, 436, and then 442. So work to do on that for Microsoft and Google, both of which concern me. Netflix, unbelievable. Now talking about a leader. This is the leader for the NASDAQ 100. $900 in the last, since August, at the low, and the tech low occurred at the beginning of August. This is 587, folks. So it's gone up more than 50% in 3.5 months. For a large cap stock like that to go 50% in 3.5 months is amazing. Now this is overbought and extended, but the momentum could take this to 9.5, even 1,000. Pretty impressive. So that counteracts a little bit the Microsoft Google negativity and the Apple concern. Let's see what's happening with Meta. Same thing here. Take a look at this. We have a trend line that goes back a ways, a long-term trend line. It came in right about here. It broke a week ago and didn't break support. It broke the trend line. And now this, unless I see Meta get quickly back above 572.3, I'm going to be concerned, because any move underneath 550 could send this reeling and possibly even down to 495, 500. So I'm concerned for what I'm seeing. Anytime you consolidate underneath the moving averages, and notice that they are flattened out or rolling over, and if this thing crosses up above them, great. If it crosses down below the support level here, say under 540, 445, then I think we have a problem with Meta. So again, I'm concerned about what I'm seeing with several of the NASDAQ 100 generals. Now, could this be a rotation into more quality stuff or more growth stuff versus the overvalued FANG stocks, that type of thing? So, but we're going to have to just monitor this closely. But I'm not a happy camper when I see this. NVDA, well, it made a nominal new high, didn't it, on Friday? How about that? I was concerned about this too, but until I see a breakdown, especially in the last 3 weeks, the low in NVIDIA was 137. I would say beneath that, 133, 130, 33 is the big zone. See this here? Moving average, lateral price support, and trend line all coming in around 133. You break a 133 in NVIDIA with the others, with Microsoft and Apple and Google all breaking at the same time, would cause this market to really get hurt, I think, at least the NASDAQ 100 anyway. So, I mean, there's cause for concern, no question. Now, with Netflix comes Tesla. These are two of the strongest stocks in the NASDAQ 100 by far. Even on Friday, after a 4-day little bull coil, let's go hourly, you'll see it. We had a little 4-day bull coil here on Tesla. And there's your coil. And it popped and formed a little pennant. Now, I don't know whether that's going to be, if that's a bullish indication. It sure looks like it. So, and a breakout of this big wedge on Tesla augurs well for a move to the 395, 400. So between Netflix and Tesla, we have two beauties, but we have 3 or 4 ugly ones, at least of concern. So there's a quick review of the NASDAQ 100 generals, and you can see why I have some concern about that group leading the market higher. Usually, the leaders in a market blow-off will blow off as well. So, we'll have to just see what the market does. Always remember, Don't anticipate. Let the market tell you what to do. Okay. ETFs, well, we follow semiconductors, that's for sure. And you can see how the SMH has got big problems with 262, 260, 262 is lateral gap resistance and the triple top. On the support side, you'd want to see it on the 237. Secondary support is 230. Anything below that group, that zone, and we could plunge back down to 200, 205. And look, again, it's still above the trend line. We may get a snapback, but I'm concerned when I'm seeing stocks come down or an index come down and rally back to a resistance, unable to get through it yet. So let's watch next week if this can get above. Let's see, what is that number? Yeah, above 249, and then 262 are the numbers we need to get through for SMH. So that is kind of neutral to somewhat of a concern. Financials, what a powerhouse. I mean, you look at Goldman Sachs and Wells Fargo and B of A, all of them. Just a quick look. Here's GS, here's Morgan Stanley, and here's JP Morgan. Oops, JPM. And they're all at the all-time highs. And so the financials, the FAS, is what's leading this market up. The concern is that semiconductors, SMH, which is on support, needs to get going or break down. And the other concern is biotechs. Biotechs had a plunge like I haven't seen in a while from a quadruple top, which took the LABU from 152.5 to under 100 to 95. 57-point drop in about a week. Now the snapback is right to resistance, so this has got to get going again. And secondary resistance is going to be right about 125. So we're at resistance here and there. I'm going to be concerned if this turns down and starts to really get roll over. Biotechs are weak, maybe the weakest of the three. So kind of neutral in the SMH, very bullish on the financials, and I would say negative on LABU, although it has popped back. The XBI looks the same. That's the other ETF I follow for biotechs. That has a little bit better because it looks like it came through resistance. But has work to do, no question. Very sloppy pattern there. Now, when you go to the other sectors, oil, double bottom, triple bottom bounce, but key resistance and internal trend line resistance is 76. We'll just have to see what this wants to do. It's a very sloppy pattern. UCO looks the same, even worse. On the gas side, KOLD continues to push. I'm amazed how weak natural gas is. KOLD recovered. Now, we did have a little blip on oil and natural gas. Looked like it was bouncing sharply. Got right to a resistance level, as pointed out by Elizabeth. It had a 5-day run that took it from 38.5 to 53.70, and then a hard drop on Friday. It dropped literally from 53 to 44 and closed at 45-ish. Very negative for oil. And on a long-term basis, with reverse splits and everything, this looks pretty ugly, folks. KOLD had a pretty sharp pullback right to its key support area and the trend line and bounce, but it's at the neckline now. It looks like a head and shoulder pattern. So if it fails here, this could still come down and oil could still go up. But this is an industry I want to avoid right now. I'm not happy about it. I'm certainly not happy about the way gold acted. We had a rally, of course, but look at this drop. This is the GDX, 44 to 35, 9 points in about 3-4 weeks on the downside. Then a bounce back, a fib retracement. That's all this is right now. Now, if it gets back above 40 with energy, maybe we can consider this a turnaround. But right now, it could just as easily be a bounce off support and a continuation down. I don't know why gold would go lower, but the charts don't look good on any of the gold ETFs. Same with silver. I'm just not thrilled with what I'm seeing. Look, you saw the nice bounce in gold. Well, check this out on silver. Barely bounces at all. And what it's forming, for me, that's a bear flag. So when you come down like that and bounce like that, paltry, the most I could hope for is 42. But any rollover that takes out these lows here could really send silver reeling, probably back down to 30.5, 31. And we're at 40 right now, so that's dangerous. I will say this, it's on the trend line as well, so it's possible that we hold it here. But you've got to be careful on silver underneath 37. That's where I think it gets ugly. On the upside, we need to get to 42.5, and then you're looking at 44.5, 48, and 50 again. But not excited about that. So let's look at some of the ETFs we track closely. A lot of stocks, the biggest list I've had in years, telling me that the market is coming to a head, maybe nearing a top, because you have this many stocks that look this good. And believe me when I tell you, I've eliminated dozens and still came up with a long list. Here's one of our favorites, AAOI. It's stellar. It broke out here. It retested there. Basically a 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is 5. But 5 might only be a 1, 2, 3, and we may need a 4th and a 5th. But I would tell you my target is near 50. So that's another 10, 12 points from here. 48.50. Wow. Impressive. ACHR. Well, you can see the spike off the low. This is not that long ago in September at 283. And here it is, more than double at 622 with a really nice pop pullback and low volume ebb there on the pullback and then spike up. Great week for ACHR, going from 405 to 622, a double just during last week. ACRS, Aclaris line back after getting crushed about a year ago on probably negative drug news. It went from 5 to 50 cents, 60 cents, based out for a year and then exploding here from about $1 to about 5. This is a 400% run up, and now it's consolidating. Something to watch. ADMA, how about this beautiful chart? That's right, 3 to 24, 8-fold increase, and it doesn't look done yet. Targets would be 26 and 32. ADN, Advent, an independent power producer. Now, we're obviously tracking SMR and OKLO and VST and NNE, but this is a little junior stock in that group that pop, wedged, pop, pull back, retest, and pop again. Can't tell where this could go, but I can tell you this. If this momentum in this group continues, the little ones, the laggards or the junior stocks in that group, the power producers, might have a big run. My target, believe it or not, is in the low and then upper teens for ADN. Keep an eye on this one with a stop under 5. AESI, interesting breakout last week. It has resistance above. There's major resistance above, but this breakout with strong volume, it tells me there's a possibility that this would extend. Let's see if there's a follow-through. AFRM, we've been following for a long time, many moons. You may remember this run-up that took it from 8 3/4 into the 50s. Then a 9-month decline, breakaway gap, retest. Don't remember exactly where I gave you swing, but I think it was in here. And it moved from the mid-30s to the $70 range. It doubled. And it is at resistance up here from way back in here. But I think it has more to go. My target is high 70s. AGFY, Agfy has been a monster and literally has gone from under 3 to over 54. That's right. 15-fold type increase. And it did it in 2.5, 3 weeks. Look, again on Friday, this was up 11.52. It's thin, but it can be a monster. And again, anytime you see this kind of a pattern, literally, I want to point this out. There wasn't one day in this entire trend where it made a lower low. So then keep your stops underneath Friday's low. That's around 35. That's a long way from here. And we'll see where it goes on early next week, but it might be a momentum play and a blow-up play. AGIO, long multi-month consolidation breakout and then retest. It's got a wedge forming. I'm looking for a run-up back up towards 62 and then 70. AI finally woke up this week. I mean, vertically, 25 3/4 to 30, almost 38, 37.5. So 12-point run up in 5-day period. Fantastic. That's a breakout too. But there is some resistance across here. Should it get through that, I would look for low to mid 40s. AIOT broke out of a large multi-month coil. It's popped, retested, and then spiked. On Friday, it jumped another 7%. I'm looking for 8 and 9 in this one. A lab in the semiconductor group, fairly recent IPO back in March. Based, broke out here, breakaway gap, coil, pop, retest, moving average, spike up in a gap, wedge, and break out. If this momentum continues, we might see 130. AMSC, beautiful long-term channel. It's run up from 5 and change into the 35 range. Actually tagged 38 and pulled back a little. If he gets above the high, above 38, we might see mid 40s. API, spike wedge. What I do when I see this is do a measure move about 2 3/4. 6 3/4 target, and that's right about there. APLD, rounding bottom, inverse head and shoulders, whatever. Bottom line is it broke out again on Friday. Target's 11. APP has been a monster. I mean, from August low, listen to this, folks. One of the biggest percent gainers in the last 90, 120 days. 60 to 342. 400% in 3.5 months. And it doesn't look done yet. Even on Friday, it went up 16. So we'll see where this goes. The target right now is about 375. ARQQ breaks out of a base after a long downtrend. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ways, however. Careful. May need to be consolidating in here. But if it has momentum and follows through, it may reach as high as 19 short term. American sports broke out, flagged, popped, flagged again, and it exploded last week from the Tuesday low at 18.5 to Friday's high at 24.60. My target is 27. ASPI broke out, breakaway gap, and a beautiful wedge is formed. This might explode out of here, and if it does, 11 and 15 are your targets. ATLG, fairly thin, but look at this spike coil, or wedge, and then a pop again. There's a possibility we see mid to high 20s on this. The near-term target is 18, secondary target 24. At Amera, popped and wedge, we put a swing on it when it broke out, and it's gone vertical from 3.5 to 7, double, and then a pullback. You can see the long-term pattern. It's the kind of stock that can really scoot and go when it does go. I have a target, folks, at $10 on a swing, first 8 and then 10. Could be a good one. I may add this in. We'll see. AUPH. Breakout, coil, pop, wedge, and another pop. I'm looking for a run to the 9.5, 10 zone. Well, there is resistance just above here at 9.5. AVPT was doing well, very well, and then suddenly accelerated. And here's the stock that in the last year and a half has gone from 4 to almost 19, and it's blown through resistance as well. Let's see the weekly. This is new all-time high territory for it. So watch AVPT because it could explode into the low 20s. BCOV breaks out of a base, breakaway gap, forms a little wedge, spikes, forms another one. This looks like your angle. And it's accelerating. Nice chart. BE, wow. It exploded. We put a swing on it. It just went vertical. It literally went from 18 to 26 in a week. And with a rising flag, I'm not going to be surprised if this continues to 29, 32, whatever. And in the Bitcoin or crypto realm, I'm just going to show you a few possibilities. BITO, big uptrend, long downtrend, broken, breakaway gap, run up. My target short term, 28.5. BITX is broken to new all-time highs. My target short term is 75. I'll get to the others alphabetically when we get there. BLND, beautiful rising little channel. This is now a year and a half from 50 cents to $5, tenfold. Guess what? It doesn't look done yet. My target says $8. Wow. BMY, Bristol Myers, one of my favorite pharmaceutical companies for personal reasons, which some of you may know. That's a beautiful bottoming pattern. Pop, pull back. I think we gave it to you right about there, about 47 or 8. It's gone up to 60, tagged last week 61, and pull back. But it's in a beautiful rising channel. My next target is 65.6 and 70.71. BOX, long base, breakaway gap, coiled, popped, retested the moving average trend line and the breakout point, and then popped again. If this one gets above 35, we can see high 30s, low 40s. Dutch Brothers breaks out of a big base with a massive breakaway gap and wedges, and then pops again. This is one of those stocks with momentum, although on Friday it might have had an engulfing negative day. I just don't want to see taking out Friday's low. If you're in this stock or want to be, let's keep an eye on 49, 9.5. Target is 58 if it goes. BYRN Tech Trader Swing broke out, ran up beautifully, got hammered for a day, and then back and filled it from the wedge. Notice it held the trend line near the 50, and this is the big reversal day right there. The breakout occurred. Here's your key support short term. Don't let it get on to 17.5. My target is 25. You can have your cake and eat it too with cheesecake. It's a beautiful base. It's a breakaway gap. It's a bull wedge. Target 53. CAPR, we're still waiting. Look, anytime the stock goes from under 4 to over 23, nearly sixfold, and it does it in about 3 weeks, you're going to go into one of these consolidation patterns. My opinion is that if it should take out, and it's going to have to do that for starters, 20.5 with energy, then we're looking at 23.5, and then we might get into the high 20s, even low 30s. This has a potential powerful move ahead of it if it does not break down. Your support is currently 17 and 15.75. Kava has been in a monster run ever since it broke out of the base back in December of last year at around 34, and it literally went ballistic to spike up a week ago to 172. So it's gone a 5-fold increase, and it doesn't look done yet, although this might be a topping pattern. Your stop has to be under 135. CBRE, I don't talk about this too often. This is CB Richard Ellis, the real estate firm. Big base, breakout, wedge, and stair step its way higher. I don't know where it goes, but it looks like 148.50, what might be a target. Uranium is hot, and you can see CCJs at all-time highs. This is the leader in the group. Immediate target is 64. CCL, the cruise line, Carnival Cruise Line, with an inverse head and shoulder breakout, retest, coil, base, breakout again. Look at the ramp up this has had from 14 to 25. My target is 27 and 30.31. CDXC, base, breakout, retest, a slow move up and then a spike. Now a rising pattern. I think it extends to 9 and 10.5. Sienna. There's a couple stocks out there that are like Cisco and Sienna that and a few others that are all-line tech stocks that are really starting to look good. Take a look at Sienna. Beautiful base over the last 2-3 years. There's your breakout, flag, pop, and retest. I think 78 and 85 are possible. The CLBT has been a phenomenal chart from 4 to 20, 5-fold increase in the last 2 years. Doesn't look done yet, but there is a double top up there at 21. CONL, there's the exchange traded fund tracking stock for Coinbase. The inverse head and shoulder break broke out, and we went long on a swing, and it went vertical from about 34.5 into the 70s, low 70s. It's backing and filling up here. Should it get to 73, we might see 90. CORT is another beautiful biotech with a base, breakout coil, and then a run up. The rising channel is intact. It tells me we go to 68. CORZ in the software group, very strong, targeting 22. Credo has been on my list for a long time. As you can see, a year and a half ago, it was trading around 7, and here we are at 47 with a target of 54.5. Well, CRNC was a very fortunate trade for us last week. Popped. I put a swing on it as soon as it broke across the high of 434. It went vertical to 760, more than 3 points in a day and a half, and right to the target zone. So I would have taken some profits here, but momentum could carry this even further. CRNT is another. We've been talking about this as a swing twice in the last year. Right now, a significant break has occurred, and I'm pretty sure we're going to test short term this level. Let's call it 440. And we get through that, you might see a $6 stock. Corvus, look at this run. Breaks out of the base here at about 2.5 and is quadrupled to 10. It's still consolidating. Now it does look like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so I can't tell. I could stop this one under 7 3/4. It gets above 10 1/4. You're looking at 14. And there's Cisco, the other one we talked about a few minutes ago. I like the way several stocks are acting. Cisco is another. Sienna, Cisco, Corning Glass, etc. O-line stocks that having good times here. Look at this Cisco target now 62. Carvana, just every time I look at it, I just marvel. This is the biggest percent mover in the last 2 years. In December 23rd of 22, this stock was 362. That's right. It's 260 from 362 in 2 years. And guess what? Based on this channel, unless it's interrupted and it's coming out of a coil here, we might see 300. We might see 350. Datadog also broke out. At one time, I was considering this when it broke down here and it was forming a bear wedge as a short, but it never broke the trend line. Notice that? It then came up, consolidated, but here's your breakout. Targeting 165 and 180. Deckers, not a cheap stock, but I wanted to point out that this also breaking out of a base, making new all-time highs. At this point, I'm looking at 215 and 240.50. Dell, one of my current AI favorites, that along with Oracle, and of course NVDA and a few others. But the V bottom that occurred on the tech rack back in August took this one down at 87, and here it is doubled almost at 145. And should it get to 150, 151, I'm looking for a retest of the high at 174.5. DESP, beautiful rising channel over the last year and a half, taking it from 4.5 to 19. Channel top target says 22 may be doable. Disney, in deference to my buddy Mark Leibovit, it came down from the V bottom with a right-hand extension. It broke through the moving averages, then did something of that. Any bullish stock that does is an indicator of higher levels. When this stock hit resistance here, pulled back and then coiled and got very quiet and narrow in here. That was your breakout day right there. Notice the pop above 97.8 that took it into the 115 range. There is resistance right here. Should it blow through that, you might see 123.4. Be careful up here though, it's extended. It's kind of, any time a stock goes from 84, and especially a large cap stock, to 115, 31 points, about 35, 40% gain in a 90-day period or 120-day period. You want to be careful now. It could pull back and consolidate. Your support's 108.5 to 110, but the upside target will be a retest of the high, which was up here at 123.5. Trump Media exploded, pulled down, 1, 2, 3, 4, and a truncated fifth wave double bottom. This needs to hold, and the stop needs to be on the 26.5. If it gets above 34, 34.5, I would look for a spike into the mid 40s, maybe even mid 50s again. Stay tuned, it looks interesting. DPST, this is the bank ETF with the financials doing the way they are. You can see that DPST not only broke out with a gap, is wedging. Target 200. DRS, one of those beautiful aerospace stocks. This is one, I'll show you 2 or 3 others that are phenomenal. FCAI and a couple others that look just amazing. This stock has gone from 11 to 38. Pull back, it's 37 now. Based on the acceleration, it may very well get into the low 40s. DSP, Viant Technologies, broke out of a large coil a couple weeks ago and it's gone vertical right to resistance. Careful up here, it's extended. May need to consolidate, but I'll tell you what, any breakthrough here, we might see a stock substantially higher. ETF DXYZ breaks out of a base with a breakaway gap, explodes to resistance, pulls back. It's got a beautiful wedge. If this market blows, this stock very well could be 60, 70, 80. And the measure move says even higher than that. ERJ, a tech trader swing. I think from back in here when it broke out, but I'll have to double check that from where. Anyway, from high 20s to 39 plus. To me, it looks like 41 and 45 are targets on extension. EXCL, breakaway gap out of the base and acceleration. Look at this. Long multi-year base. And we finally broke out. I have a target longer term at 50 up there. Intermediate term is 40, 42. Flex, a tech trader swing. You can see why. It broke out, put a swing on it, it ran up, pulled back, ran up again. It's gone from 34 to 41 and doesn't look done yet, although it's near the top of the channel. It might accelerate. Really strong chart. Take a look at the 3-year channel from 10 to 41, 300%. Another one similar is Flowserve, which broke a downtrend line, retested, and then started its journey. 24 to 61 and made a new all-time high. I believe it's on Friday. Not an all-time high, my bad, but a multi-year high. I think the target now could be 64 and 68. How about this chart? FTAI is the other one I was talking about. Do you get any better than this chart? It's gone from 31 to 174 in the last year. That's right, literally fivefold. And it's in a kind of channel that says this isn't done yet. Look for 200. FTI in the oil and gas equipment services group, which has really been strong of late, has gone from the double bottom near 6 into the $30 range and now targets 35.6. GEO, with Trump being elected and his belief in privatization of prison management, this is a prison management firm. Note after the election, vertical, wedge, making new highs. Is the highest level we've seen since 2017, 7 years. It might very well get up into the, I would say, 32.3 range. General Motors, I mean, for O-line company like GM to go from 26 to 58, more than doubled, and still looking higher. Let's see the weekly chart. I wouldn't be shocked to see this one make a run and test the 66.7 zone. Up there. GNRC Generac, obviously the V bottom, the right hand extension platform, that was a no-brainer buy there. I don't know what I was thinking. Anyway, 112 to 190, almost 200, 196, and still looks higher to me. Should have break through that, we might see a stock at 240.50. GRRRR. When I block it out, I put a swing on it, but it backed off in a 3-wave corrective, held support and the trend line, and spiked last week. 3 days in a row. Snapping back from 371 to 485. If it gets to 538.40, which is the target, next target is 6.5 3/4. GVA, strong run after the breakout of the base and a retest. From that point, 42 to 102, and then a pullback. Doesn't look done to me. Targeting 115. Haynes Brands, nice uptrend, nice channel, and it's spiked up near the top at resistance. Should it get through? Target's 11.5. Honest Company. Jessica Alba's getting rich. Long downtrend, but then look at this move from 1 to 8.5 with a 1, 2, and this has to be a 1, a 2, and a 3. I feel like large smoke. And then a pullback could get you a 5th wave towards 10. Hood has really done well. And you can see the base breakout flag. Hard pullback down in August with many of the stock. But then look at this rally. From a dip under 14 to 30, almost 37 at the channel top. Overbought? Yeah. Can it extend? Target's 47. Like to see it pull back and consolidate. Here's another one of those aerospace stocks. Howmet, what a pattern. 43 to 119. 120 was tagged Friday. So this is a triple. Look at that chart. How far can I go? 133. IAG, gold stock. But this is an unusual one because the trend is so strong. And with gold coming down, this one went up. Relative strength. When you see relative strength in a group, you want to keep an eye on it. If gold does turn around and go higher, this is probably 7, 8, 9. INDI pop, we put a swing on it. It pulled way back, but it reversed off the trend line, off the moving averages. Nice reversal too. From 4 back to 5. Should we get to 5.5? 6.5 and 7.5, 8 are targets. INOD, powerful, powerful, powerful. It's a tech trader swing. It exploded, pulled back, popped. Might see 60. INTA, another beautiful rising channel out of a breakaway gap and a run up and a stair step move up, and a wedge, and my target 65. IONQ, another tech trader swing, breakout, beautiful orderly pullback on low volume, spike, rising channel. Where can we go in this? 40. IoT, big week last week as it broke out after retesting the 50. But my target's going to be 63.4. Jets, I wanted to show you this because when you look at UAL and DAL, just phenomenal rising channels. I think they're overbought. I think airlines, when you see airlines that double or go up 50% or more that quickly, they're so volatile like it was here that I would not be an aggressive buyer on it. But I did want to show you the ETF for that group and notice how beautiful that's run up in the channel as well and broken out. It's at resistance here though. If the airlines want to continue, jets may run to 28. Joby, spike out of a base, but not quite through resistance. Keep an eye on this one. Should we get to 7.5? I would look for 9. KC Kingsoft, one of the stronger Chinese stocks out there, just ran up hard. But with most Chinese stocks popped and did this. Many of them ran up a little bit, but did not get to the highs. This one did. So relative strength in the Chinese group, this is one of them. How about a move from 2.5 to 7 quickly? Resistance here, may get a pullback consolidation. But if that's a 1, 2, 3, and we get 4, we may get a 5th. And if we do get a 5th, we might see $10. KD, Kyndryl, which I believe is an IBM spinoff back a couple years ago. Beautiful rising channel and just broke out last week. I think it can extend into the high 30s. KNF, Knife River in the building materials group, very, very powerful. I showed you that flag a month ago. It's gone up since then and now looks like it might be a $125 stock. LAC, rounding bottom pop. We put a swing on it. It pulled back on a falling wedge. It really needs to hold here. The whole lithium group is in a precarious position, but if it goes, we're looking back at 5 and maybe 6. Lending Club is really strong, and I've been completely ignoring this one. This breakaway out of here was really impressive. The breakthrough that was, and look at this thing continue to keep going. I think we're going to get a move up towards, to me, the next target is 22. Lamentum, which broke out here, and I put a swing on it after the breakaway gap, retested, and did a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it might be extended, to say the least. It's gone from 38 to 88, 89. And boy, I'll tell you what, the pop on Thursday and the inside day Friday tell me we could see 98 to 105. LMND went vertical, breakaway gap, a 3-day flag, and then pop, flag, pop, flag, pop. Literally 18 to 52 in about 2.5 weeks. Extended, yeah, momentum could take it to 60, but careful. Louisiana Pacific, a real quality O-line building materials company. What a beautiful chart. I wanted to show it to you. My target is 135. Lair Superfood is a tech trader swing. It exploded wedge, pop, little mini wedge, and then a pop and a coil. Little flag, little pennant, another one, and another one. Just a beautiful chart. And it acts beautiful technically. And I would say I'm looking for a mid to high teens eventually. Aluminum, LUMN, with an explosive move and a coil, then a pop, a wedge, then a pop and a coil. The breakout through the coil took it to my target over 10. And now the pullback is in the 8 range. Next target, if it does go, 12. Lunar, fabulous chart, and running again. And you can see it broke through key resistance on Friday. I'm looking for a move to 1920. NBLY breaks out of a base, forms a wedge, and Friday may have broken out, but there is a big gap in here. Your targets are 19, 21, and 25. MP, pop broke out and then put a coil on. We put a swing on this one. It did go to the target and pull back. I'm going to need it to hold. Ideally, right there, about 17 and a half. Your target's 22. Excuse me. MSTX, first beautiful run up. This is the ETF, the double 2 times ETF from MSTR. You can see why it smoked it here. With MSTR running, this went from 41, are you kidding me, to 220 in 3 weeks. Boy, did it get hit Thursday. It bounced Friday, but I'll tell you right now, if this group fails, you better stop this one under 105, 110. It's a very volatile stock. Careful. MULN. Well, it popped out of the wedge on Thursday, but I didn't have enough volume, and that was my mistake. So it is a swing, but I'm going to need proof that it gets to 370. That's where it really takes off. Until then, I may have acted a little bit too quickly on this one, but it's promising. MWA, Muller Water. Look at this chart. 12 to 26 in a beautiful rising channel. All-time highs. Trending towards high 20s. NANX breaks out of a beautiful base and put a swing on it from the wedge and popped. I think this goes to at least 3.5 and then 4.25. Neon had a big run in August, September that saw it go from 260 to 14 change, but then the falling wedge and that broke out on Friday. If it gets to, I would say 935, we could see 12 and then 14 on this one. And then I wanted to show you next nav because it's such a beautiful 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's at the top of the channel. But man, what a powerful chart this is! It's all-time high territory, I believe. Yep, right. And so it is up against the all-time high right after the IPO back in 2021. Might be some resistance up here, folks, but it looks like it's slightly above it. And so we'll see if this thing can gather a little bit more momentum, but careful. NNE, one of those nuclear energy stocks, power producers, right up against resistance here from the spike high in July. If it blows through here, my angle says 45 may be doable. NPWR, net power, pop wedge. Are we going to get a fifth wave? If so, 17 is your target. NRG, another energy stock that I failed to recognize until today. This one's gone from 30 to over 100. Pull back, it's trying to go again. The targets are 110 and 125. Netgear breaks out of a breakaway, breaks out of a base with a breakaway gap and pulls back and forms a wedge and breaks out. Now flagged again and maybe popped on Friday. My target's 27 and 30. Nutanix, as you know, one of my favorites. After getting smashed in May, did a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave move right down to major support, reversed. I want to move off that low. How about 43 to 73? That's 4 months. It's right at its all-time high. I think, based on what I'm seeing, that this could be upwards of $100. But I also think it might be a takeover. Here's your long-term chart. It's a beauty. Looks like a 1, 2, 3, 4. Fifth wave's underway, but it might last a long time. And it could get into the $100 range. NTRA is a tech trader swing that I put out, I think here when it broke out in May at about in the 90s, and it's made it to 170 nearly. So 175 was tagged actually on Friday before it reversed. Target is 188. NXL, this beautiful little pop pullback, and then when it popped again, we put a swing on it. I think it was about 240. It made it up to 440, 436, and it's got a little flag in there. See it? If it holds this channel and continues, I got a $6 target. No kidding. OKLO is another of those energy stocks that popped to resistance. Didn't quite do what the others have. This was a wonderful move, and you can see that if it does break out of here, where this can go, it could be a huge mover into the 30s, 40s, and maybe even we get to 50 or better, a double. OMER, Explode City, folks. Literally 4 to 11 in a week and a half. First a pop wedge, and then another pop. If it does extend, watch for Monday, 13 and a quarter, a half. ONON Tech Trader Swing, I believe it was here around the 36 range, but maybe wrong. In any case, it's made it to 58, and I have a target of 70. OPFI, long-term run-up, breaks through the channel top, and is accelerating here. I'm not going to be surprised if this makes it up to 8 3/4 next. Opera breaks out of a base, pulls back in wedges or coils, and pops out of the coil. I think this has immediate potential for run up to 23. Oracle, fantastic long-term chart, continues to run. You might see 210 on this one. PAY popped and wedged. I have a target of 46. This looks terrific. Look at that long-term chart. PAYO breaks out, coils. This thing's ready to run. 12 and 14 targets. Puma, a beautiful long-term chart over the last year. It's gone from 3 to 9. Current target is 9 3/4 and 11. PCT breaks out of a base. Pop coil, pop another one. Are we looking for one more wave up? I am. Target 24, double. P9, Friday was exceptional as it exploded, but look at that all week. It literally went from 1 3/4. Friday spiking from 2 to 5. There is some resistance at 5 3/4. That might be your target for Monday, but careful on this one. If it gets a follow through, it could fly. If it doesn't, it could be extended. It did trade 86 million shares, unheard of for that stock. PLL, after popping and running back and forth, it took a dip, but it held right near key price support and trend line, and then snapped back. This one's got to get to 15. Target's done 17 and 19. Palantir, just incredible. One of the strongest stocks on the board. From the August low at 21 has gone to mid 60s. This stock could be a $75 to $85 stock. That's the momentum on that one. Poet, pop, flag, pop, coil as well. Next targets will be 5 3/4 and 7.5. PRCT, stair step up, pull back, pop, and now a wedge. Looking for 120 on this one. Peloton, after breaking out of the base and flagging, it popped and ran. Now another flag and another pop. Target 12. QBTS, beautiful base, and now the spike up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with a big spike on Friday, jumping $1.20 on 90 million shares. That's at resistance, but it could accelerate to 4.5 and 6. QMCO had a big pop on Friday. I wanted to show it to you. It traded 39 million shares on a pop like that. You might get an extension into the low to mid-teens. QUBT also popped and pulled back and now popped again, and I'm looking for extension to 9 on this one. Very powerful move. Red Cat, look at that acceleration. It was trending this way and then accelerated. Literally in 3 weeks, it's gone from 2.5 to 10. Too far, too fast? I believe so. Be careful with this one. RDW is similar. Long-term rising channel, spike up, but again, in need of some consolidation, although momentum could carry it to 15 first. REPL exploded on big drug news on Friday. I put a swing on it, and then it ran all the way up to 17 before backing off to under 15. But net on the day traded about 35% higher, and I think the extension is going to take this one to 20 and 25. REVG popped and broke out, retested, filled the gap, and then popped again. If this one gets above 32, I'll look for 36 and 40. Rocket Lab, again, a stock that is accelerated, that may be ahead of itself, but momentum is very strong. Wouldn't be shocked to see 23, 25. 28 to 31. RSI breaks out and is running in a rising channel with a target of 17. Revolve, pop, pull back, strong momentum, extension target near 40. RVMD, beautiful rising channel. explodes through the top of it and retests it, and now may be headed higher, targeting high 60s. RYAM, that's Rayonier Advanced Materials, broke out 2 weeks ago and pulled back and held, targeting 11. SE, one of the largest Chinese video game developers, has gone from 34 to 113 in the last 8 or 9 months. It's near the top of the channel, but momentum could carry this to 130, even 150. SEI with a massive spike up breakout. In the last couple of weeks, it's gone from 12.5 to almost 23.5, about 11 points, 9 points, sorry. And it's in need of a consolidation. You can see the breakout. This is we're talking 5-year base pattern. Love to see a setup that gives us a chance to buy it cheaper. SFM, well, how about that for a supermarket chain? Sprouts Family Market has gone from 37 to 148 and doesn't look done. I keep talking about it. It's an amazing chart. Sweet Greens finally breaks out after I put a swing on it here and it backed off and then popped and backed off again, this time making new highs. At least 3-year highs here. But breaking through key resistance, now my target's going to be 48 to 50. SINT, look at this pop the last 4 or 5 days. Something's up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days in a row from 2 to 5.5 and closing into the upper end of the range. Very strong move. Momentum could carry this to near 7. SMCI recovered after a disastrous decline that saw a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave decline culminating in a 2-day island reversal and a run-up that saw this stock go literally from 17 and change to 34, doubled. Now, the momentum could carry this a little further. The target is 38. SMR, the other stock, and might be my favorite in the group, and the power generators, nuclear power generators. I think this stock can carry itself into the mid and maybe high 30s or low 40s. SoFi, beautiful chart, breaking out of a base. Here's your breakaway gap. A breakout above the prior high, which is here. A little bit of a retest. And here's another breakout. And then a pop and flag, another breakout. Every day up last week. My target is 17. SOUN popped out, pulled back a wedge, and then exploded. My target, 10.5. SPIR broke out of its base, breakaway gap. A little pullback to support. Held that gap and then ran. Looking for a retest to the high 19. SRAD breakaway gap. Explosive move. Rising channel. Very powerful chart. Wouldn't be surprised to see low 20s. SRTS, we've been tracking for a year. It's gone from under 2 to over 9. My target near 10 may be met soon. TALK, another new rising channel underway and looking good for 4 and 4 3/4. Technoglass, great long-term chart near the top of the long-term channel. If it accelerates here, you might see 90 plus. TGTX exploded out of its base, pulled back to test, and then popped again. If this gets to here, this can go vertical to 40, 45. TKNO, pop, rising flag, rising channel, making new highs. Target is 10.5. Toast is certainly not toast. This time broke out of a base, flagged, and then ran hard. The last 2 weeks, taking it from 30 to 43. Extension target might be high 40s. Trupanion breaks out of a beautiful base, pops and flags or wedges in here. We talked about that. Another one's developed. So I think your target now is 66 and 75. Tesla, obviously breaking out of a wedge Friday, is very bullish looking to me, and so is TSLA, the tracking stock that we're trading and swinging. Very good chart, 14 to 24, and a pullback. I'm now looking for 27 on this stock, TSLA. TTI broke out. We put a swing on it and pulled back, and it's edging higher. My target is 4.5 and 6. TVTX, beautiful rising channel, broke out of a coil and pulled back to retest it one more time. Also testing the trend line at the same time. Need to get it back above 20, then your target is 24. Unity Software broke out of an inverse head and shoulders and ran up to my target before pulling back. It broke support and then spiked right back up. What a week last week. 17 to 24. My target is 28. UEC in the uranium group, double bottom, breakout platform. It looks like it wants to run. You get above 9, the stock could be, I'm looking for 11 and 13. UIS spiked flag that put a swing on it and then popped, pulled back hard. It didn't break support and then ran up to the target at 8. The next target is 9.5. Unified, this is a beautiful food stock. Breakout, breakaway gap, and coil, breaking out of the coil. Extension target 29.30. VCYT breaks out of a beautiful base pattern and stair steps its way higher. Not sure how far they can take this one, but it looks like there's a possibility that we're going to test 50.52 next. VERX, a beautiful rising channel, and you can see that this stock has accelerated to the top of the channel, but might run into the $60 range. VIRC, similar, thin, but a target now of 25. First, we got to get through 18. VIRT, just a strong base, breakout, retest, spike, rising flag, got to resistance, and now I'm looking for a stock to make it to 40. Vimeo broke out and pulled back. We put a swing on it. It backed up a little more than I wanted it to, but it's holding around there. And now I think if this gets above the high, 8 and 9 are definitely short-term targets. And VRNA with a rising pattern, flag after flag after flag after flag, and doing it again. Next target is 47. VSCO, that's Victoria's Secret. This retail chain is getting strong action, breaking through resistance levels. Might channel into the 40s. BST, this is one of my favorite energy stocks. It had a reversal down Friday, but I think if the group continues, this is a $200 to $215 stock. Wave, wedge after a breakout, another pop and wedge, but then a pullback retest of the breakout point, held a moving average and trend line, and spiked up. A wedge formed, it broke out Friday, but it's right there at resistance. This is one of those stocks that if it goes, can spike into the mid-teens, maybe high teens. WGS is a tech trader swing from way back in here, around 17 or 18, and it's made it into the, believe it or not, way up there in the 80s, up to 89. Now a flag's developed. Guess what? If it breaks out, 110.15 is your target. And Walmart, one of those strong O-line stocks that just keeps running up to new all-time highs and splitting. Fabulous chart. I'm not involved, but boy, did that look good. Warby Parker breaks out of a 2-3-year base. Now it looks like it's headed to 28, 33, and 36. Keep an eye on this one. Could be a good swing. Xcur with a spike up last week and explosive in that, going from 275 literally to 27. This is a 10-fold increase in a week. Be very careful of the stock. It's thin. XPL Logistics, my favorite transportation stock, period. I think long term, looking for 250, 100 points. Zeta, well, we saw what happened. It was a beautiful stock. We gave it to you in here in the 15 range. It went up into the low 40s at pre-market and plunged on the short report, which was BS. Anyway, we told you look for a mid-20 snapback. You got right to it and bounced. Look what happened Friday. A dip and a rip. If it gets to 25, we're looking at 28 and 33 again, but that's a dangerous looking chart. ZVRA, well, personally, folks, it's a beautiful long-term base, a breakout, retest, and here it is running again, $11 target. That's it on the longs. I only have a couple shorts to show you because I don't want to belabor the point. These are current short swings. They still look like shit. Look at Qualcomm with the market rallying. It actually is on support. If it breaks, this could be 135. Weatherford continues to look ugly. Now, it did bounce last week, and it may be forming a V bottom of the right-hand extension, but we gave it to you up here at 109, and it dropped down to 75. Good short there. Lastly, no, two more. AMAT, head and shoulders top. It did bounce, but this is a weak semiconductor. Now, it may come on, but I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised to see mid-150s, even mid-130s. And lastly is Boot, which broke down and formed a bear wedge. It bounced on Friday, and so we want to make sure we cover it if it breaks out. But if it fails here, look at the potential on the downside. 105.10 zone would be a potential target. And let's have a look at it. Now, I don't want to give you too many short ideas until the market proves that it needs to come down. Right now, the trend is your friend. The trend is up. I'm showing you these because these four are either current or recent swing shorts. Folks, that's an exhaustive look at all the longs, the shorts, the ETFs, the internals, and the NASDAQ 100 generals that lead the market. It's going to be an important week next week, no question. I think it's going to be higher. We shall see. Here's the bottom line, folks. Take a look at this. I've put a lot of work into it. I'd like you guys to review it a couple times and really get clear on what you want to do next week, and maybe get some ideas from some of the stocks that I've highlighted today. Have a good weekend. Have a good rest of your weekend, and I will talk to you Monday. Bye now.